When you insert an image into a web page, you may need to apply some additional formatting to that image to give it the appearance that you desire. Fortunately, Dreamweaver makes it easy for you to do this. Let's take a look. I'm beginning this video with the formatting_images.html file already open on my computer. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to add a little bit more to this main image on this page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the image just to make it a little bit easier for me to create my selector. And I'm going to come up here to the CSS styles panel, and I'll just go ahead and collapse this so we can see the internal styles that we're creating here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the new CSS rule button, and that's going to want to create a very complex or very specific rule here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click less specific twice so that I'm creating a rule for content top image. And I'm going to go ahead and down here at the bottom, make sure that I have this document only. That's where I want to create this CSS rule. So go ahead and click OK. And what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to the border property. And what we're going to do is we're going to choose a style here. We're going to keep same for all selected. But for the style, we're going to set that to solid. The width, we'll change that to 7 pixels. And for color, we're going to change the color to white or pound FFF. Now I'm going to click the apply button. And you're going to notice that we have a nice round border, or a nice border all the way around this image. Now, what I would also like to do, I'd also like to add another property to this rule. But what we're going to do is we're going to click OK for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up these panels a little bit so I can see the properties for this CSS rule. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the Add Property button. And for the property value, I'm going to type border-radius. And for the value, we're going to type 7px for pixels. I'm going to go ahead and press return. And what that's going to do is round the corners of this border. Now, I'm going to go ahead and save my file. I'm going to go to the File menu and choose Save. And then what we're going to do, in order to see this effect, we should really preview this in a web browser. So I'm going to click on my Preview button. And I'm going to choose Preview in Safari, although you can choose a browser of your choice. And we can now see that we have a nice rounded border that's been applied to this object or to this image. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and close that in Safari and go back to Dreamweaver. And we're going to do some more formatting with images. So down here, we can see that we have this image that's been inserted under the flavors category. Now what I'm going to do, let's insert another image inside of the vegetarian category. I'm going to put my cursor in front of the eye right here. We're going to come up here to the Common tab, and we're going to click on the triangle to the right and choose Image. And I'm going to navigate to the Images folder. And this time we're going to choose vegetarian.jpg. We'll go ahead and click Open, and we can enter some alternate text here. I'm just going to type vegetarian, and we'll go ahead and click OK. And that's going to insert that image at that location. Now, this particular image is a bit larger than I want it to be. So what I'm going to do is down here in the Properties panel, I'm going to go ahead and click on this button to toggle the size constraint. I'm going to set the width to 100. Press the Return key, and that'll resize that image accordingly. So that looks good. Now what I want to do is, these images look fine, but they'd look a lot better if I got the text to wrap around them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another CSS rule. So over here in my CSS styles panel, I'm going to click on the new CSS rule button, and we're going to choose a class selector. And I'm going to give this a name of my choice. I'm going to give this a name of float left, all one word. And I'm going to create this in this document only. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And in the box property, I'm going to change the float value to float left. Now, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to enter a little bit of margin to apply to this, because I'm really going to use this float left class selector only for images. So what's going to happen is when I float an image to the left, the text is going to wrap around the right side of it. So what I should really do is, in the margin property, in the right field, I'm going to enter a value of 10 pixels. And let's go ahead and do that in the bottom value as well. So I'm going to click OK. And what that's going to do is provide an easy way for me to float these objects. Now, while we're here, let's go ahead and create a float right class selector as well. So I'll click the new CSS rule button, call this one float right, and make sure it's a class selector in this document only, and we'll click OK. And what I'm going to do is in the box property, we'll set the float value to right. And then this time in the margin property, I'm going to uncheck same for all. And what we're going to do is in the bottom and left fields, we're going to enter a value of 10 pixels as well. Go ahead and click OK. Now, this didn't really do anything because I haven't applied this class attribute to these images yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the first image, the tomato image, and I'm going to come down here to the class drop-down menu. And you're going to notice that the available options within here, 2 of them are the ones that I just created. So if I choose float left, you're going to notice now that the text is now wrapping around this object and creating a nice visual look for that image. We can come over here to the vegetarian, choose float left as well, and that's going to, again, wrap that text around the image. Now, if you wish, you could also apply maybe the float right to this and take a look at what that looks like. Again, now we're floating this object along the right edge of the text, and the text is flowing along the left side of the image. So what makes these very versatile is that I can apply them to whatever image I want, and the text is going to wrap around the appropriate side. And at any given point in time, if I want to change them, I can just select the image and choose a different property from the class drop-down menu. As you've seen, Dreamweaver makes it easy to apply formatting to images using CSS. With all of the options available, you're sure to obtain the results that you're looking for inside of your own web pages.